Welcome back to Pods and Ears, the podcast where we help grain elevators, processors, and feed mills transform their scattered data into strategic advantages. I'm Rob Huston, co founder of Innovative Grain. If this is your first time listening, welcome. We've spent the past few months talking about data silos, how to unify your information, and calculating ROI for these investments. This month, we're diving into what everyone wants to talk about: artificial intelligence. But before we get into AI, let me give you a quick market snapshot because it's affecting every conversation I'm having with grain elevators right now. As of Friday's close, March corn settled at 440 and 3/4, and January soybeans closed at 1076 and 3/4, down 15 to 17 cents on the day and down 28 cents for the week. That's the lowest weekly close since late October for soybeans. Now, the pressure is coming from South America. Brazil's crop agency, CONAB, updated their forecast to 177 million metric tons for the 2025-26 soybean crop. That's down slightly from last month, but still a record. Weather has been mostly favorable, with recent rains easing earlier drought concerns in southern regions. And here's the frustrating part for U.S. grain companies. China's buying pace continues to disappoint. They pledged to buy 12 million tons of U.S. soybeans by year end, but they've only booked about 2.7 million tons so far. Brazilian beans are still 70 to 80 cents cheaper than ours, even with the trade agreements in place. So what does this mean for grain elevators? Well, it means tighter margins for one thing, more competition for farmer bushels, and an even greater need to operate efficiently and make smart, strategic decisions with every customer interaction. Which brings us right back to our topic today: using AI to gain competitive advantages when every cent matters. So, grab a cup of coffee and let's talk about AI done right. And let me start with a conversation I had last month. I was talking with a grain elevator manager. He's a great guy running a solid operation. He tells me, "Yeah, Rob, we're using AI. A couple of our merchandisers have ChatGPT accounts." And I said, "Well, that's great. Which model are they using?" And there was a long pause, and he said, "Model?" So I asked the follow-up: "Are they using the free version, or do you have enterprise accounts?" There was another pause. He said, "I think they're using the free one. Is there a difference?" And that's when I had to have a difficult conversation. Here's what most grain companies don't realize. When you see free consumer versions of ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, Perplexity, or other AI platforms, you're potentially uploading customer data, contract information, and proprietary business intelligence to systems that could use that information to train their models. Think about what that means. Your merchandiser is analyzing pricing strategies, customer delivery patterns, competitive intelligence, and all of that information could become part of a public AI model's knowledge base. So it's not that your employees are doing anything wrong. They're trying to work more efficiently. They're embracing technology. But without knowing it, they may be creating a massive data governance risk. So I've seen merchandisers upload basis analysis with customer names, customer delivery patterns and volume trends, competitive pricing strategies, market share calculations, and customer retention strategies, all going into free AI platforms where that data could potentially be used to train models accessible to anyone, including your competitors. Now, this isn't a theoretical risk. This is happening right now in grain operations across the country. The solution? Enterprise AI with proper data governance. But before we get to how to implement it correctly, let's talk about what AI can actually do for grain merchandisers when you get it set up the right way. All right, so let's cut through the hype and talk about 5 real applications that are working today in grain operations. Application number 1, market analysis and basis intelligence. So there's the traditional way. Your merchandiser wants to understand your 3-year average basis for December corn. They pull up spreadsheets, export data from the accounting system, cross-reference Chicago Board of Trade futures prices, and 30 to 45 minutes later, they've got their answer. With AI connected to your unified data through Microsoft Fabric, your merchandiser asks, what's our 3-year average basis for December corn delivery, and how does our current bid of 15 over the March compare? The merchandiser gets an instant answer. Visualization showing historical patterns, current positioning, and competitive context. But here's why this matters beyond time savings, especially in today's market. With March corn at 440 and margins under pressure, you need to know if your basis levels are competitive. When you know your historical basis averages, you can have more transparent conversations with producers. You can say, our current offer of 15 over the March is actually above our 3-year average of 12 over the March for the same delivery period. Conversations like that builds trust. And when farmers are watching soybeans drop 28 cents in a week while Brazil's record crop puts pressure on everyone's basis, trust and transparency become competitive advantages. And that's not just efficiency. That's relationship building through data transparency in a challenging market environment. Application number 2, customer segmentation and call prioritization. So imagine it's a Monday morning. Your merchandiser needs to make calls. Who should they contact? Well, there's the traditional way, whoever comes to mind, working down an alphabetical list or chasing whoever called last. With AI on unified data, you can create a prioritized call list for this week based on producers with on-farm storage who typically sell in December, customers who haven't contracted 2025 crop yet, and accounts showing declining volume over the past 2 years. The AI analyzes your complete customer database, delivery history, communication patterns, market position, and generates a strategic call list ranked by opportunity and urgency. And that's real business value. Your merchandisers spend time on high-value conversations instead of cold calling producers who aren't ready to make decisions. We're seeing time efficiency improve 40 to 60% while relationship quality increases. Application number 3, contract and delivery forecasting. So let's say you're planning logistics for harvest. How many trucks will you need? What storage capacity should you reserve? The traditional way? Reviewing historical patterns, making educated guesses, and hoping that you're in the ballpark. With AI on unified data, based on our last 5 years of delivery patterns, contracted volumes, and current weather forecasts, what's our expected daily volume for the first 2 weeks of October? The AI identifies patterns you might miss. Producer A always delivers 60% of their corn in the first week if weather is dry. Producer B spreads deliveries across 8 weeks. Producer C's timing correlates with basis moves, not calendar dates. More accurate resource planning means reduced overtime costs, optimized storage utilization, and improved customer service by reducing wait times during peak periods. Application number 4, risk identification and customer retention. So there's the traditional way, where you discover you're losing a major customer when they don't show up at harvest, and by then, the relationship damage is done. With AI monitoring your unified data, AI can flag any customers showing concerning trends, declining volume compared to historical patterns, reduced engagement with our bids, or competitive activity in their area. The AI monitors hundreds of data points across your customer base and surfaces early warning signals that a human might miss until it's too late. This is where proactive retention conversations happen. Hey, Tom, I noticed you haven't been in as much this year. Everything okay? Is there anything we can do better? And that conversation might save a $300,000 annual relationship. And that's not just AI being smart. That's AI helping you be a better relationship manager. Application number 5, document analysis and knowledge management. So let's say your operations team needs to troubleshoot a scale issue. The equipment manual is a 200-page PDF nobody has time to read through. They call the manufacturer, and wait on hold for technical support. With Enterprise AI, you can upload your equipment manuals, your safety procedures, and your operational documentation. Now your team asks, what's the calibration procedure for our Fairbanks scale when we're seeing inconsistent weights? The AI searches the entire manual, finds the relevant section, provides step-by-step instructions with source citations. So you have reduced downtime, faster problem resolution, and better knowledge transfer when experienced employees retire or leave. These aren't science fiction applications. These are working today in grain operations that have done two things right. Number one, unified their data through Microsoft Fabric. And number two, implemented enterprise AI with proper governance. So let's talk about why free AI is actually too expensive. Free AI platforms are free because you're paying with your data instead of money. Now, let me break down the critical differences. With free consumer AI, your data may be used to train the model. You have no control over data retention or deletion, no audit trail of who accessed what. You have no integration with your business systems, no support or service level agreements, and your data leaves your secure environment. With enterprise AI, your data stays private and isn't used for training. You have complete control over data governance and retention. Audit logs showing every query and response. Integration with Microsoft Fabric and your unified data. Service level agreements and support. And data remains within your governed environment. And you can have single sign-on for security and access control. Now, let's talk real costs. With free ChatGPT, it costs you $0 per month, but you have infinite risk. With enterprise AI, whether it's ChatGPT Team, ChatGPT Enterprise, Claude for Work, or Microsoft Copilot, or Perplexity Enterprise, the cost is around $25 to $60 per user per month, and that's governed and secure. For a grain elevator with 10 users leveraging AI, you're talking about $3,000 to $7,000 annually to eliminate data governance risk and gain enterprise capabilities. Now, that's a rounding error compared to the potential cost of a data breach or your competitive intelligence ending up in your competitor's hands. Here's something really important that just happened. As of September 2025, Microsoft expanded Copilot to include both OpenAI and Anthropic's Claude models. This is huge. You're no longer locked into a single AI vendor. Within your Microsoft ecosystem, you can choose which model to use for different tasks. You can use Claude for complex reasoning tasks like multi-year basis analysis, use OpenAI models for general business applications, or you can mix them both in Copilot Studio. And it all runs on top of your unified data in Microsoft Fabric with enterprise governance through your existing Microsoft 365 Admin Center. If you're already using Microsoft Fabric for data unification, which we've been talking about all year, then Microsoft Copilot with multi-model choice is the clear path forward. All right, so how do you actually do this right? And let me give you a practical roadmap. And I'm going to break this down in phases. So phase one, let's call this the data foundation. You cannot effectively use AI without unified data. If your grain accounting, CRM, and third-party data sources aren't connected through Microsoft Fabric, start there first. AI is exponentially more powerful when it can access complete, integrated information. And don't skip this step. I know AI is exciting, but without the data foundation, you're just getting fancy answers based on incomplete information. Phase two, select your enterprise platform. So if you're in the Microsoft ecosystem with Fabric, Microsoft Copilot is a natural choice. You get both OpenAI and Claude models, seamless integration with your data, and everything is managed through your existing admin center. If not, you might consider Gemini. If you use Google Sheets and other Google products, you might consider Grok. You might consider Perplexity Enterprise, which has access to all of the models. Let's move on to phase 3, governance and training. Before rolling out to your team, establish clear policies. What types of information can be shared with AI? Who has access to what capabilities? How should AI-generated content be verified? And what are the prohibited uses? Train your team on how to write effective prompts, when to use AI versus traditional methods, how to verify outputs, and understanding limitations. Start with 2 or 3 early adopters who understand both the technology and your business. Let them discover valuable use cases and share successes with the broader team. Phase 4, and this is important, start small. So I'm going to talk about months 1 and 2. Let's focus on internal analysis, market analysis, customer segmentation, and internal reporting. And then when you get into months 3 and 4, you can focus more on operational efficiency, document analysis, automated reconciliation assistance, and logistics planning. Months 5 and 6, you can look at customer-facing applications, personalized communication drafting with human review, contract analysis, and strategic account planning. Phase 5 would be measure and expand. So you can track specific metrics like time saved on routine analysis, improvement in call list effectiveness, early identification of at-risk customers, and reduction in equipment downtime. Use these results to justify expanded implementation and additional use cases. So now let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practice. And let's talk about before enterprise AI. So envision it's a Monday at 7:30 a.m. Merchandiser arrives, checks email, starts thinking about who to call, pulls up a spreadsheet, and works down the list alphabetically. 9 a.m. Producer calls asking about basis. Merchandiser exports data, opens Excel, calculates 3-year average, and then calls the producer back 45 minutes later. 11 a.m. Operations calls about a scale issue, spends 30 minutes on hold with equipment manufacturer while grain trucks wait. 2 p.m. Manager asks for market share analysis for tomorrow's meeting. Merchandiser blocks off the rest of the afternoon to compile data from multiple systems. Now, after enterprise AI, let's review that same Monday again. So Monday at 7:30 a.m., Merchandiser asks AI, who should I prioritize calling today? Gets a ranked list with context on why each producer is a priority. At 9 a.m., producer calls about basis. Merchandiser asks AI in real time, 3-year average December corn basis in current position, gets instant answers, shares transparent market intelligence while on the phone, and the relationship is strengthened. At 11 a.m., that scale issue. Operations asks enterprise AI, Fairbanks scale calibration procedure for inconsistent weights. The AI provides step-by-step instructions, problem solved in 10 minutes. At 2 p.m., manager needs market share analysis. Merchandiser asks AI, generate market share summary by county with year-over-year trends. 5 minutes later, there's a comprehensive analysis is ready. So the difference? It's not working harder, it's working smarter with AI as a strategic assistant. So here's the competitive reality right now. Most grain elevators fall into one of 3 categories. Category 1, they're not using AI at all. And that's about 70% of the market. They're flying blind while competitors gain intelligence advantages. Then there's category 2. And these elevators are using free AI dangerously. And I'm going to estimate that's about 25% of the market, exposing proprietary data and creating compliance risks without realizing it. And then there's category 3. And that's elevators using enterprise AI strategically. Now, most of your ABCDs are doing this, but I would say that that's about 5% of the market in terms of, the companies out there using AI. Gaining sustainable competitive advantages through augmented decision making. That's what it's all about. So the gap between category 3 and everyone else is widening every month. And look, this isn't just about technology for technology's sake. With March corn at 440 and January beans at 1077 and beans down 28 cents just this week, margins are under real pressure. Brazil's record crop of 177 million metric tons and China only buying 2.7 million tons when they pledged 12 million. In this type of environment, the grain elevators that win are the ones making smarter decisions faster. They're the ones who know their basis levels hands down, who can identify at-risk customers before they're gone, and who can forecast logistics needs accurately. They're also those who can have intelligent conversations with producers backed by real data instead of a gut feel. That's what properly implemented AI enables, not replacing people. It's making your people dramatically more effective when every bushel and every basis point matters. The question isn't whether AI will transform grain merchandising. It's whether you'll be in that 5% that does it right or the 95% that either misses the opportunity or creates risks they don't understand. At Innovative Grain, we help grain elevators implement enterprise AI on top of unified Microsoft Fabric data foundations. We handle the technical implementation, governance framework, and team training so you can focus on capturing value. If you want to talk about where you are in your AI journey and how to move forward safely, reach out to us. You can email us at info@innovativegrain.com. Our website is www.innovativegrain.ai, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn at Innovative Grain. Next month on Pods and Ears, we're going to explore customer segmentation strategies and how to move from reactive to proactive relationship management using unified data and AI. And we'll give you another market update because with South American weather and Chinese buying patterns, things can change fast. Thanks for listening. Until next time, this is Rob Huston reminding you that the best AI doesn't replace relationships, it helps you build better ones. And hey, if you've made it this far, you clearly care about using technology the right way. So share this episode with another grain elevator manager or merchandiser who's thinking about AI. Let's help the whole industry do this right.